Hey guys, this is the Dark Man here, and we're back with another creepypasta. Now this one I wrote, I assure you, will not disappoint you. It took me a month and a half to write this whole story, and I hope you all enjoy it. It's about the Cuyahoga County under a quarantine because of a recent infection that broke out, a deadly virus. And there are a few survivors who are being interviewed by an FBI agent. Now, I can't tell you too much, or the story will be ruined, and I cannot have that happen. But now that it's nighttime, where your fear is the highest, just sit back, relax, eat your popcorn, and drink your Coke, or whatever the hell you're snacking on, and enjoy the story. The Cuyahoga County is currently under quarantine by the U.S. government and military forces because of a disastrous event that took place approximately 1 week ago. I will be interviewing 3 survivors that escaped the quarantine zone safely and unaffected. Source of the infection is still unknown. But with these 3 survivors, the FBI will finally get a chance to understand what truly happened on August 12th, 2017. The first person I'm interviewing, his name is Don Williams, a former sewage plant manager who claims to be one of the first to witness the infection spread. Okay, you may now begin, Don. About damn time, man. It's been a few hours since I've been here. I'm ready to get the fuck out of here and leave this damn state. I'm already feeling uneasy, even though we're over 200 miles from that damn place. Where to start? Where to start? Oh yeah. It all started on that hot summer night. I was about to leave and let the third shift manager take my place, until I received an alarm on my camera monitor. Hey Don, something is blocking one of the sewage pipes. God damn it. Must be a massive ton of shit. I'll have to go hydro plunge the thing out. Fucking hate my job, man. My employee began laughing. Oh, you think it's funny, Randy? How about you come assist me since it's a joke to you? Hey man, relax, I was just kidding. That's what I thought. Before heading into the sewers, I put on my biohazard suit and picked up the water pressure gun. As I descended down the ladder into that disgusting ass cavern, I cut on my helmet's flashlight, which lit up 50 feet into the sewer. I walked slowly, being careful to not slip and fall in a pile of feces. When I finally got to the area that had sent the alarm, it wasn't shit that clogged it up. Thinking back on it, I actually have no idea as to what it was. It was a gooey brown and purple substance that was bubbling. I sprayed the pressure hose on it, causing it to foam and disintegrate. What the hell was that shit? I had said to myself. Doesn't matter. Problem is solved now. I headed out of the sewers and back up to land. Before leaving the plant, I had a chat with the third shift manager, Mike, about what had happened. He told me he'd handle it if anything happened again. Alright, have a great night, Mike. I'm out. And that's when I headed home to my wife, Joanne, to a nice dinner and bed. Keep in mind, the second shift ended at 11 p.m. So after dinner, I was knocked as soon as I laid in bed. Night shifts can get extremely tiring, you know. I awoke around noon and checked my phone to see that I had 20 missed calls from the plant. What the hell? What would they need? Did someone die? Questions kept flowing through my head as I called back. Hello, Don? You need to come to the plant ASAP. Mike's gone missing. It didn't even take me a second to rush out the door and head there. When I arrived, there were police everywhere. The whole building was surrounded by caution tape. As soon as I stepped out of my car, Randy came running over to me, along with several other third shift workers. One of the third shift workers, Joey, I think was his name, told me that halfway through the shift, Mike went down to the sewers to check out some blockage in the pipes, but never came back up. We searched for hours down there, but could never find him. God damn it, Mike! Where are you? I had said. We all agreed to conduct a thorough search for him that night at 11, with some of the second shift workers and some of the third shift workers. I headed home to get some rest for what will be a long night. When I woke up, it was 2 p.m. Joanne and I talked a little about Mike going missing. She joked and said he's probably just tired of this boring-ass place and decided to run away, going MIA. We both laughed, and I gave her a kiss goodbye before heading to work. When I got there, we all did our basic procedures for the day until 11 struck. 6 of the second shift workers and 6 of the third shift workers decided to pair into groups of 3. Randy, Tony, the vice supervisor of third shift, and I were in a group, while the rest divided amongst themselves. We all put our suits on and headed into the sewer. We walked through the north passageway, which led towards the city. 10 minutes into our journey, we began to hear small feet crawling in front of us. Do you guys hear that shit? I'd asked. They both nodded. We flashed our lights on the ground to find a sewer rat. It looked a little different. Its fur looked as if it had shed it off, and there were purple veins pulsating throughout its body. It looked up at us with glowing red eyes and hissed while trying to attack us. I stomped it repeatedly while blood and guts squirted out on our suits. And just then, right on cue, my employee Dave yelled into the microphone in our suits, "Get the fuck out of the sewers now!" There were screams in the background and the sound of screeching. Nothing but fear ran through my body. Even though I don't know what happened, I just knew it wasn't good. My group and I ran towards the sewage plant. The other groups were already there, climbing up the ladder. I saw Dave's team running towards us. In the distance, there was something chasing them. I swear it looked as if it had one of our suits on. They all screamed, "Run!" So we all climbed the ladder and got out of the sewers. When we reached the surface, everyone was breathing hard. We took our suits off, got them sanitized. I was the first to speak up. What the fuck happened back there? Dave's team was silent and just stared at the floor. Hello? Do you hear me? Just wait a fucking second, Don. You have no idea what we saw, so shut the hell up and Wait! I was speechless because Dave never spoke to me like this before. He gave a large sigh and started the story. When we were at least halfway down the southern passageway, we heard flesh being ripped, so we all flashed our lights towards the sound. We saw someone in one of our suits eating a rat. I thought it was Mike, so I spoke up and said his name. And when I said his name, he looked up at me. Or it looked up at all three of us. Listen, Don, I have no idea what the fuck it was, but I sure as hell know it wasn't Mike. Its eyes were bright red and had purple veins all over its gray skin. That thing screeched at us, and that's when we told all of you to run up to the surface. Everyone was silent for a few seconds. There's no way you saw something like that, Dave. You're full of shit, one of the other guys said. I told him Dave could be telling the truth because I saw a rat with the same features. Whatever, Don, you and Dave are full of it. I'm getting back to work. We all dispersed and headed to where we were supposed to be. When I got home, I told Joanne what had happened, and she looked scared shitless. I went straight to bed after that long-ass night. I woke up the next day around 2, just in time to get ready for work. When I arrived to the plant, everything seemed normal, as usual. All the basic procedures were going just fine, until we heard a loud bang coming from the grate to the sewer. We all looked at each other in confusion. I walked over to the grate, slowly to see what it was. The others followed behind. When I got there and looked down, nothing was inside. What the hell? As soon as I said that, the grate bust open and out came something with one of our suits on. It let out a loud screech and ran up to one of the second shift workers and began clawing at his body, tearing the man's flesh while he screamed in agony. We all were frozen and just watched with fear. When it was done with its vicious attack, the second shift worker started violently shaking and convulsing on the floor. His skin turned gray, the veins were beginning to bulge and then turn purple, and his eyes were red. Everyone had run away in various directions. It was nothing but chaos. Those things chased us and bit into any poor victim's body, which made them turn into a vicious beast as well. I ran out of the building and to my car, locking it back, and as soon as I hit the road, I drove off as fast as I could. I called the police on my way home. They told me someone would be there in 5 minutes. When I got home, I locked all of the doors and covered all of the windows and cut off every single electronic in the house. Joanne asked me what the hell I was doing. All I said was, "They're coming," and I passed out from the exhaustion and fear. When I woke up, the sun's light was shining through the blinds. Joanne was at the window and kept peeping out of the blinds as if she were hiding from something or someone. What the hell? How long was I out for? About 12 hours. Why are you acting so weird? One of those things you told me about. It's outside. What the hell? I got out of bed quickly to look outside to see that there actually was one of those things outside. It snapped its neck towards the window, but I closed the blinds in time enough so it wouldn't see us or know where we were. Joanne began crying, asking me what were we going to do. We have to keep quiet until someone comes and help us. She told me when I was out, the sewage plant was on the news and those creatures were running all around town, attacking people. She heard loud banging on the door from people crying and screaming, and began begging to let them in. There were gunshots and loud screeches, so she ran upstairs and locked up our door, and a few hours later, I woke up. I just stared blankly on the floor. Well, we have to eat and drink, so I'm just going to head downstairs and get a few things. She looked at me with worry, but I told her I'll be okay. When I headed downstairs, everything was in dead silence. The living room seemed as if it were frozen in time, like a picture taken and placed on a wall for display in a museum. I tried to be as silent as possible, to not cause any unwanted attention, and headed back upstairs. We survived on that food for a few days. We didn't talk much, except for whenever we woke up or went to sleep at night, saying simple words such as good morning or good night. There was nothing really to say. The world was ending before our eyes, and there was nothing much we could do about it. Of course, we eventually ran out of food, and I had to get more. And when that day came, it was the last time I saw my wife. I told her to keep quiet while I headed downstairs. When I got down there, everything was in dead silence, like before, until the silence was interrupted by something screeching outside. I peeped through the blinds and saw one of those things walking around our front lawn. I ducked quickly under the windowsill. My heart was beating twice as fast, and I felt like I was going to pass out. I crawled quietly to the kitchen, not making a sound, in hopes of not catching those creatures' attention. But it wouldn't work. I was trembling so hard that I knocked on the kitchen table, causing a coffee mug to fall and shatter all over the floor, which caught that thing's attention. It let out a horrifying, ear-splitting screech, jumped straight through the living room window, and when it saw me, it gave a blank stare. We were both staring at each other for what it seemed like minutes. However, I'm pretty sure it was just a few seconds. It then ran up to me and tackled me to the ground, and there we were, man and beast, fighting for survival. With adrenaline coursing through my veins, I eventually choke-slammed it to the ground and began beating its face until it stopped squirming around and died. That's when two more crashes came from the living room and heavy footsteps were headed towards the kitchen. There were two more of them. One of them rushed towards me and I kicked it in the jaw and ran back upstairs. The other one followed behind. When I finally made it to the room and slammed the door behind me, Joanne looked terrified. That thing was banging on the door. I couldn't believe its strength because the door was beginning to split. Out of nowhere, an infected jumped through the window to our room, followed by a few others. Joanne was screaming my name. I tried to help her and let go of the door. The infected on the other side bust through and chased me around the room. Joanne had tears streaming down her face. They were just too strong for me. I'm telling you, I tried with all my heart to help, but they took Joanne away. I'm taking a smoke break. Don, wait, you have to finish. I said I'm taking a goddamn smoke break. While Don is out, I guess, we'll have the second survivor come in. He's a truck driver named Paul. He may now speak. Man, if it weren't for you guys, I'd probably be dead or infected now. It all happened on that night. I was delivering boxes of soap and Perel to Suma Healthcare. It was late at night, I'll say around 11:30. I was driving down the road with it being dark and late. There was barely anyone on the road beside a few 3 cars I passed on the way. About 15 minutes into my drive, I saw something move in the sewers. I had time to kill, so I was like, what the hell? I figured, why not just check it out? I parked my truck to the side of the road and walked closer to the drain. The headlights on my truck were bright enough, so I really didn't need a flashlight. When I bent down to see what was in the drain, something popped out and ran into the woods. This scared the shit out of me. I'm telling you. I mean, really, it all happened so damn fast that I barely saw what the fuck it was. I just ignored it and hopped back in my truck and headed on my original journey. When I got to the Suma Healthcare, my friend Matt helped me in. Matt was one of my closest friends and one of the doctors that worked here. Hey Paul, how's it going, man? Pretty good, I guess. I might get this promotion soon. Damn, man, that's what's up. So, how is it with you and the wife, man? We've been arguing a lot lately, Paul. Pretty much every day we fight over something stupid. We might get a divorce soon. Damn, man, I'm sorry to hear that. There was an awkward silence for a few seconds until I spoke up. So, are we still on for tomorrow night at the bar? Hell yeah, I've been needing to get out for a while now. All of a sudden, a loud alarm went off. Damn it, they must be having another stupid drill. Doctors were running around all frantically. Matt grabbed one of them and asked what was going on. He told us that someone had broken into the patient's room and started ripping their flesh apart. I then remembered that thing I saw that ran into the forest. Could it be that, I thought? Matt snapped me out of my daydreaming and pulled on my arm, and we were following all the other doctors downstairs into the basement. We all ran into a large room which got sealed up tight as soon as we got in there. Everyone in the room was panicking. The lights then shut off and it got real quiet. They were then replaced by the emergency red light. Everything in there was quiet until there was a loud bang at the damn door, followed by a few more until the door finally bust open and there stood some creature I've never even seen before. Its body was all gray and it had purple veins bulging all over it. We all stared at it in silence until it let out a loud ass screech and ran in the room and attacked some of the patients first, who violently twitched on the floor and stood back up within 20 seconds, looking all dazed and crazy and shit, looking like an exact replica of the thing that attacked the patient. There was barely any room to move, let alone run. It was basically like a huge trap. People began running past the creature and out of the door. Some made it, while others unfortunately were attacked by the ones who got infected. I noticed something I thought was strange. They would take the females, not bite them or attack them or anything, just drag them through the hallway. Matt then snapped me back into reality and pulled me to the back of the room. He pulled out his key card and held it up to the door, which caused it to unlock. We both ran through the hallways and headed upstairs. We tried to open the front doors, but they were locked. A screech then came from behind us. It was one of those things. It ran towards us, but we made a run for it to the next floor. It chased after us fast as hell. The power was still out and only the car keys worked, so we had to take the stairs. When we reached the second floor, Matt rushed us to one of the rooms and he was unlocking one of the doors. That infected thing busted open through the stairway door and ran for us. Matt finally unlocked the door and pushed me in and slammed the door shut right behind him. I looked through the window and saw both of them fighting. That creature had an upper hand though, and just slammed Matt to the floor by his head, causing blood to ooze out of his mouth as he coughed and choked on his own flesh. Thing then twisted both of Matt's arms. Nothing but sounds of bones crunching echoed through the halls. The infected then twisted Matt's arms completely off. He screamed in so much agony and cried in pain. This made me vomit all over the damn floor as I saw his blood squirting out of his fucking shoulders. The infected wasn't done with him yet. Its handiwork was so fucking sick, man. It went down to his kneecaps and bit into both of them, pulling tendons and flesh clean out. Matt was in so much pain he couldn't even scream anymore. The infected then moved up to his chest and dug both of its hands into his rib cage, pulling his rib cage clean fucking out. It then dug its thumbs into Matt's eye sockets until there was nothing but gooey flesh that looked like cherry jello. Matt then died. The creature looked up at me with its bright red eyes and smiled. I was scared as shit, man. And he walked over to the door and banging on it, trying to get through and kill me. I passed out from the exhaustion. That night I had a dream. A terrifying as nightmare, matter of fact. I had a dream I saw my fucking mother, being raped by one of those things in a dark ass cave. All I heard were her screams and her cries for help for me, but I couldn't even fucking help. It's like I was trapped on the ground and was too weak to move. I just woke up sweating hard, beads of sweat dripping on the floor. It was around 10 a.m. That's what read on the digital clock on the counter. There was a light beeping coming from the phone in the room. I picked it up and there was a man on the other side. Hello? Thank God you're not infected. Who the hell is this? One of the doctors that works here. I'm on the first floor located in the security rooms. I can get us both out of here, pal, but I need your cooperation. Okay, what the hell do I need to do? First, we need to go down to the basement. Are you fucking crazy? You saw what happened down there last night, right? Yes, I'm fully aware, but currently there are no infected down there. They are on the first floor with me, so they shouldn't be able to catch you. Shouldn't? Listen, man, it's better than just staying locked up in the room waiting to die, right? Well, sure, I guess. But why do you want me to go down there? To unlock the front doors and escape this place, I need one of the security guards' ID cards to scan. Down by the room we were in last night is a security guard laying dead on the floor. For some reason, the infected didn't want him. But all I need you to do is take his ID card off him and take the elevator to the first floor. Don't worry, the power is on. I'll turn everything back on. But the basement lights are still off. I don't know what the hell is up with that. But keep in mind, the infected are on the first floor, and you'll need to get their attention by shooting the guard's gun. Once you finally see them, make a run for the elevator and come here. Sounds like a plan to me. Hey man, what's your name? John? Alright John, let's make this happen. I walked quietly and slowly through the hallways, and then remembered about that thing that was staring at me last night. He must have went downstairs or something. When I got to the elevator, I pressed the button and waited. The beeping sound of it finally opening startled me because of how quiet it was. It took about 3 minutes to reach the basement. When the door finally opened, the smell of rotten flesh and decaying meat hit me so strong I gagged. It was so dark down here. My phone's flashlight would only reach 2 feet in front of me because the light would get eaten by the darkness. I walked deeper and deeper into the dark halls until I reached the room. There were two guards laying on the floor, or at least what was left of them. I saw the ID card John was talking about, and I snatched it off of the man's shirt. Looked for his gun. When I grabbed his gun, on the holster of his belt, he reached out and grabbed my arm. This scared the shit out of me. Please help. I didn't know what to say. I mean, the bottom half of this guy was missing. Nothing but blood and intestines were there. How the hell are you still alive? Is the only thing I asked. The man just looked at me with bloodshot eyes. Okay, I'll help you. I pulled the gun out of his holster and shot him directly between his eyes. Killing him was the only way he could be helped. Shit, I'd want the same done to me. I heard the infected in the stairwell. They finally bust open and ran down the hall, heading towards me. There was about 30 of them. That's when I made a run for the elevator. When I got into the elevator, I simultaneously pressed it. The infected were nearly 20 feet away from me. I was crying and screaming for the damn elevator to work. One of the infected were literally inches away from the elevator, and that's when the door finally closed. And I headed to the first floor. My heart was beating so hard it felt like it would bust out of my chest. Any minute now, the door finally opened for the first floor. I headed to the security room. The door opened and the skinny man with jet black hair greeted me. How's it going, Paul? Okay, I guess. You got the key card? I flashed the card at him. Okay, good. Let's get the fuck out of here. Okay, man. Thanks. This place is really bothering me. Put the card up to a screen, and the front doors began to open. We walked out, and a bright light flashed towards us. There was a group of people in the biohazard uniforms running up to us, asking if we were infected. We told them no, but got shot anyway with tranquilizers. And we woke up in some weird hospital room. And that's when we walked in to interview with you. Thank you, Paul, for your time. You're welcome. Thank you for saving my life. This next person is a female by the name of Ebony, who was a bartender at a local bar. You may now begin. I've seen what they do to every single female. Female, can you elaborate for me? Haven't those two guys told you they saw a woman being taken away? Yes, they have. Well, I'll tell you every last thing they did to us. But first, let me start off by telling you when I first came into contact with one of them. It all happened on that night I was finally getting off of work. It was around 2 in the morning. I was driving down a quiet road. I was kind of sleepy and closing my eyes every 5 seconds, taking a long blink, pretty much dozing off. That's when I made a mistake and hit a man. The thud startled me. I got out of my car fast as hell to see if he was okay. When I got out and looked at who I hit, I froze. That wasn't no damn man. It had gray skin with all these nasty little veins bulging out of its body. Its screech caused me to panic and just drive off heading home. When I got home, I realized I left my phone on the charger at the bar. I really didn't feel like going back out because of what just happened a few minutes ago. But I really needed my phone just in case someone needed me for an emergency. So I headed out. but avoided the road that I was just on. The bar I worked at was downtown, where it was busy every single night, which meant the traffic would be horrible. When I was near the city, I saw a car that was totaled on the side of the road, followed by another, and then two more. I got a bit unnerved and knew this wasn't right. Where the hell is everyone? Just then, my question was answered. I saw people running chaotically around the streets and sidewalks. Cars were crashing into buildings and light posts. It was a complete disaster. The people were being chased by one another by one of those things I hit earlier. They were all being attacked and transformed into a vile beast as well. I was so distracted by the chaos that was unfolding before my very eyes that I crashed into a lamppost and got knocked out. I woke up about a minute or so later. An infected was trying to break into my car and attack me, or so I thought. There was nothing I could do in my weakened state except scream and cry for help. That thing grabbed me by my hair and pulled me out of the car through the broken glass. Shards of glass scraped my back, causing blood to stain my shirt. I cried in pain, but no one could help me. They were too busy with their own problems. The infected dragged me on the streets and into a sewer. It was so dark. The smell of fecal matter and rotten flesh hit me so hard that I vomited all over myself. I injured my back. My injured back stung as the murky water soaked into my cuts. It was sickening. I have no idea how long I was being dragged, but it felt like hours until we came across a large opening in the sewers. There were women everywhere. Some were in dark corners and others were in the murky water, while those things were on top of them. What terrified me the most is that they were all being raped and tortured. The ones who refused to have sex with those infected were either beaten or killed. I witnessed a woman run away from her kidnapper, but fell upon a horrifying fate of being dragged back. The infected then bashed her head on a nearby stone, causing her crushed skull to gush blood. She lay there with her lifeless eyes staring at me. There was even a young girl getting raped. She looked to be 12 years old. She cried and pleaded to be let go, but was never released from the creature's grasp. Once it was finished with a sick deed, the girl's stomach had begun to bulge as if she were pregnant. She looked sick as she laid on the ground with her eyes rolled back to the back of her head. Her skin turned to a pale gray, and her veins had bulged out slowly, turning purple. I was shooken to the core because I now knew my fate. My kidnapper yoked me up in the air and slammed me on the cold, hard floor. I moaned in pain while the thing ripped off my clothes. There was no way I'd let it take advantage of me, so I swung a punch at as hard as I could. This only angered it. The infected then screeched so loud my left eardrum burst, and I passed out. I awoke again, surprised of not being dead. My kidnapper was nowhere to be found, so I decided to make a run for it. I got up and ran through the dark tunnels. About 10 of those things chased after me, but I luckily shook them off and ran through the other tunnel, beaten by stress and exhaustion. My body gave out on me, and I fell into a canal, floating away, hopefully somewhere far away. 10 minutes into floating, I heard water splashing in a large amounts ahead of me. That's when it snapped to me, real quick. This was a waterfall. I tried with all my strength to move, but I couldn't. My body eventually got near the fall. Luckily, I grabbed onto a ladder that was on the side. I was floating and dangling in the air, trying not to drown or fall into the water. When my fingers started to slip and I fell down to to the hard concrete on the side of the canal. It broke my legs, arms, and spinal cord. I basically was paralyzed. I felt no pain though because I had too much nerve damage. So I just lay there waiting to die. But I never did. It still surprises me as to how I survived. I lay there for several days, no water or food, until he saved me. Who would he be? The one who interviewed first, Don. Please continue. It was a few days after I was laying there when I heard something splash into the canal beside me. I thought it was an infected, getting ready to impregnate me, but no, it wasn't. I saw some man in a yellow suit with a flashlight. He asked me if I was still alive, but I didn't even have the energy to speak, so all I did was nod. He picked up my body with care, tied me to himself with some rope. In all honesty, I thought he was a CDC worker, but I soon found out he worked for the sewage plant. He climbed up a ladder and back up to the surface. When we got up there, it looked like a ghost town. It was an eerie silence that echoed through the hot summer winds. At least it wasn't dark out. Paul walked the dead streets and stopped once we reached the target. He walked inside, put me on some clothing. I think he scavenged up the remaining water and food we could find and moved on out onto the baking sun and through those lifeless streets. I don't know where we were headed, but he just kept walking. I eventually fell asleep and woke back up in a hospital room, laying in a bed. Bandages were covering my entire body. Don was sitting in the corner of the room, looking out the window. I asked him if he'd done this. He told me he followed some procedures he read in a book he found in one of the cabinets. If it wasn't for him, I'd probably be dead by now. We stayed in that room until the next day, and then walked out. I couldn't really move because of the broken bones, so he wheeled me out in a wheelchair onto the vacant street and on the highway. There we traveled for hours and hours baking in that hot sun. We had no idea where we were going, but we just kept moving forward. To no surprise, Paul had ran out of energy and fainted. I was all alone on I-76 North. I don't know how long for, but it felt like hours. My hope had increased when I saw someone in the distance walking towards us. The heat waves coming up from the black asphalt caused me to see a distorted black figure. I yelled to them and they broke into a sprint towards me. My smile had deteriorated when I saw it wasn't affected. I screamed Paul's name, but he was too weak to even hear me. There I just sat awaiting my fate of being dragged back to their filthy nesting grounds. It was nearly 10 feet away, then toppled me over, gnarling in my face. Its saliva looked like red slime, and its breath smelled like rotten meat. Out of nowhere, Don hit the infected in the head with a bat. That only slowed it down for a few seconds, and then it came back to life and tackled Don to the ground and began beating him in the face with its fist, knocking him out. It then got up and walked slowly towards me. It was nearly inches from my face when I got shot in the head and fell into my lap. There were a group of people in biohazard suits walking up to us with guns. One of them shot me with a tranquilizer, making me pass out and wake up here. Thank you for your time, Ebony. You may leave. I will never forget what I experienced in those sewers. You may leave now, miss. That little girl was just getting raped before my eyes, and those women dying just for those sick animals' pleasure. No one in this world is safe anymore, including you. Don is just now coming back from his smoke break. How are you feeling, Don? Listen, let's just wrap this shit up. I don't want to discuss this anymore. Okay, you may begin, Don. First off, you ever had a nightmare? Yes, when I was 5 years old, I had a dream of falling in the sky and never crashing to the ground. Okay, now imagine that 10 times worse. That day when they took Joanne away, I only had one place I could think of to go, so I went to the plant. I hid in one of the break rooms so I could at least have a small amount of food and water to drink. On that night, I had a nightmare so horrifying I woke up in tears. I was in a dark cave of some sort, couldn't really tell where. There was murky, stagnant water on the ground, and the whole cave smelled like death and sulfur. I heard the screams of a woman everywhere, and what's worse is I heard the voice of my mother and wife screaming at the top of their lungs to be let go. I screamed their names, but they couldn't hear me. There was an infected on the right side of me, pinning down a woman who I've never even seen before, thrusting into her, and looked over at me and screeched. That's when I woke up in a pool of sweat and tears. Even though it was around 3 a.m., I could not go back to sleep in fear of having that dream again. I stayed up until the sun rose and decided I had to get out of the city. I figured the sewers might just be the best traveling route so those things can't really see me in the streets or in broad daylight. I went to the dressing room and got suited up and equipped myself with a shotgun that will blow those things' heads clean off and a few extra shells. I climbed slowly down the ladder leading to the deep abyss. When my feet hit the ground, it made a few ripples that then diminished as I stopped moving. The foul content in the murky water created a brownish color. I walked slowly through the maze-like tunnel, thinking of one goal only, which was to walk underneath the city and reach more ground and climb up from the sewers to the other side of the city. As the water splashed with each footstep I took, I started to get an eerie feeling, but I just doubted anything bad would happen and blamed it on the fact that I was scared because of the dark. I just continued walking deeper and deeper. A strong smell had hit me when I got near the main drain. It smelled like death. My suit was supposed to be able to block strong odors, but this odor penetrated my suit, which had to have meant I was near something strongly toxic or a large amount of dead bodies. As I got closer to the stench, I heard the faint sounds of crying and screeching. There in the distance was the main drain. Images of my dream, my nightmare hit me when I saw a girl getting raped by one of those things. Tears streamed down my eyes when I realized my dream was real and that my mother and wife in this very area were getting treated with excruciating pain. I heard my mom scream, followed by my wife. I yelled for their names, which caught their attention. It caught every last single infected attention as well. One of them ran towards me, but I shot down like 10 of them and reloaded my gun. A loud screech then echoed through the entire cave. All of them stopped and moved out of the way to what I assumed to be their leader. I saw a large infected walking towards me. I didn't need but 1 second to know who it was. It was the one who started the whole outbreak, Mike. He was now in my face, sniffing me and staring me down, judging my existence. he screeched at two others, who then grabbed me by my arms and legs, pinning me down to the filthy cave floor. Mike then walked to a pile of slimy-like spears in the center of the cave and picked up a female from the ground. It was Joanne. I screamed for her, but she looked too weak to even hear me. Mike then lifted her up in the air and began thrusting into her. I cursed at him, and he screeched back. When he was done with his sick deed, a bulge formed in her stomach. In a matter of minutes, her skin turned gray. He ripped open her stomach and pulled out what I assumed to be an egg and threw it into the pile he was behind. Don, that's when I realized their whole goal, which was to overpopulate the earth. It was all too obvious when I watched what just happened. Don, I mean, every last single female in there were either dead or turned into one of those things. They didn't even want that to happen to them. None of us did. Don, please calm down. But the woman got the worst. Even the young children, for Christ's sake. I mean, how can God let this happen to anyone? That mound of eggs kept twitching and moving. I already knew it was their offspring was in there. It finally sunk into my mentality. Humanity is doomed and will never have a chance against those things. None of us will. I don't give a fuck if you sent the whole damn military. There's just too many of them, and they'll just keep multiplying until every last living thing on this earth is either dead or one of them. Filled with adrenaline and fear, I broke from those two infected grasps and ran away. They never chased me for some reason. I didn't care though. I just kept running. I made a right which led to the waterfall and my way out of here. I climbed down on the ladder that was placed on the side of the fall. It's a good thing I knew this place like the back of my hand. Otherwise, I'd be completely lost. When I got to the bottom, I saw a woman laid on her back naked. It was the girl you just interviewed. Ebony was her name. I was surprised she was still alive because of the horrible state she was in. I put her on my back and climbed up to the surface to a silent street. I walked to Target to get her some clothing and then to a nearby hospital to bandage her up. I followed some instructions and procedures I found in the manual. I wasn't surprised that she was asleep the whole procedure. Her body was under a lot of stress. We spent the night there and left the next day. I had to push her on a wheelchair through that hot baking sun. I walked onto the freeway on I-76 North. I have no idea where I was going, but I just kept walking. I finally fainted. I woke up to the screams of Ebony. There was an infected attacking her. I got up and swung my bat at it once, but that barely did anything except anger it. It just beat me senselessly until I blackened out and woke up here. I appreciate your time, Don. You're welcome. You may leave now. Thank you. And one more thing. What is it? I know they're all still down there, underneath us, creating colonies and spreading that infection through the connected sewers of this country. You may think what you have done now can stop them. This is little quarantine will only slow down the process, which will then speed back up in a few more weeks. There's nothing we can do as humans to stop them. We're too weak. It has now been a month since the Cuyahoga County has been under quarantine. There have been strange and recent kidnappings of people near Ohio. We still aren't quite sure who the culprit is, but I have an idea of who it is or what it is. Don may have been right. These are humanity's last days, and there is nothing we can do to prevent it. The extinction of all humans on Earth. What really unnerves me is that the government is lying about the disappearances of people, saying that it is just a normal occurrence. But you and I both know exactly what is happening. And it's all unfolding beneath us. In those fecal-infested canals and stagnant, murky water. All in the raw sewage.